Well, I am very excited to be here with Jill Marlan. Jill has been with a client of ours for about 2.5 years. Jill owns Peak Performance Physical Therapy, 5 locations in Michigan: Lansing, Okemos, DeWitt, Mason, and Grand Rapids. And Peak Performance has been around for 12 years, I think. Jill, is that right?
Yeah, since 2011.
Yeah. And what a fantastic company. I think of all our clients, probably one of the strongest growth-oriented clients. You guys are really demonstrating great growth in a lot of areas, not just visits, but growth in a lot of different facets. Jill has a master's in physical therapy. She's certified in orthopedic manual physical therapy, and she is a women's health specialist. Not only all that, but she also serves on the Michigan Board of PT. She teaches, and she's also developed a text that's used in PT doctoral programs. So Jill is an extremely busy lady. She is in charge of many, many people every day. And I'm just a bit in awe of how she keeps it all together. Um, but Jill, just tell us what got you started in all this? What made you want to get into the very intense business of owning PT clinics?
Yeah, well, first off, Matt, thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate it. And, our partnership has been really valuable, hopefully for you as well. And so really excited to be able to have this conversation today. So as far as what got me started in physical therapy and starting businesses, and, I've been practicing for 25 years. And so um, for me, I have that entrepreneurial background of coming from a family business and an engineering business and growing up a little bit around business and what that looks like. And when I started to go through PT school, I just found that as my passion. And for me, for somebody to be able to find what they do for a living to be their passion in life too is phenomenal. And so that's when the doors just start to open and things start to, really manifest for you. So I feel very fortunate that what I do each and every day is what I love to do. And I know, in these conversations and when we meet on a monthly and sometimes more frequent basis is you can feel that in all I do, right? I mean, that I'm a passionate person when it comes to winning, when it comes to succeeding, when it comes to helping as many people as we can and reforming the way that we're delivering physical therapy and delivering healthcare, because we all know that there's a huge problem in our country with healthcare, whether it's obesity, whether it's illness, whether it's chronic pain. And I feel that physical therapy is one of the biggest platforms for us to be able to revolutionize the way that healthcare is delivered. And for me, really, that increasing that human connection through health and wellness is where we need to start.
So is I think about every PT has their own passion related to their patients. What is it that they're excited about that gets them going? And for you with your patients, is it that longevity, health and wellness mindset? Is it just trying to find help your patients become the best they can be? Or is it more related to being excellent at specific conditions? Or is it all of the above for you?
Yeah, I think for peak performance and for me, that's driving some of this. I look at all of the above. I don't think that we can look at healthcare in silos. I think we need to start looking at it collaboratively with all of our partners, with all of the individuals that are providing care. And for me, I went through the osteopath program at Michigan State, and I went through the postdoctoral program at Oakland, and I'm a very strong manual therapist. And my goal was, to be the best of the best in manual therapy and manipulation and mobilization and exercise performance. And, I've had the opportunity to work with the best in the world, from Philip Greenman to Olaf Evianth to John Kraus and, the amazing individuals around the world. And so, Freddie Kaltenborn and develop textbooks with them. But with that, I've also had the opportunity to work with professional athletes and be on sidelines and do preseason training. And you see how when people get immediate access of care, how the overall outcomes are so much better. And from a musculoskeletal standpoint, when you look at the top three expenditure in all healthcare, when you start looking at the data across expenditures in our country, musculoskeletal is right up there, right? With some of the major ones, cardiovascular. And so physical therapy is best situated to really make a difference in that. So when I look at that, part of me going back and getting women's health certified is there was a component of pelvic floor and not just women's health for men and women. There's a component of that that's missed in healthcare that is causing some pretty significant back pain, hip pain, knee pain that we miss because it's in a spot that is, a little bit more sensitive, right? And so we got to get comfortable with getting a little bit uncomfortable in healthcare and making sure we're having the conversations. And so from an orthopedic standpoint, from a women's health, from men's health and wellness to, neuropain science education, we got to get it all. We got to get it all right because that's our field, that's our realm. And so we need to surround ourselves with experts to really make sure that we're helping patients body, mind, and soul when they walk through our doors.
I love that. Body, mind, and soul. I mean, that's, boy, if only our healthcare system had that mentality, across the board and in every area. But and that's not easy, right? I mean, body, mind, and soul, to be able to consider the patient, and maybe it's natural and maybe it's easy for you when a patient walks into you. I know when I've met with you, you are singularly focused, right? You are on. In fact, to the point that when we have our monthly meetings, our team probably spends an extra hour getting prepped over when they normally would because they want to be on for you. But when you're meeting, when you're engaged with someone, you're on. And so I can see that for you, it's natural almost. You're so clued into that individual that mind, body, soul involvement just comes almost naturally because you're so connected. But it's not the same for every PT. Has there been a challenge for you when because obviously you're 5 clinics, dozens of clinicians. How have you been able to impart the same passion and skills and excellence across your team?
And that's a challenge, right? And I meet with every single new employee we have on. We have, over 65 employees now, and um, every new employee that comes into our system, I have the conversation about the why and the difference and the excellence, and we set the table for each one of our patients that come in, so they get videos and they know what the expectation is when they walk in. So for my team to understand what the expectation is, because patients are walking in expecting it. And so mediocrity is not acceptable because patients are expecting excellence.
Wow.
And so I have the conversation with each one of them, but not only good therapists, but we hire good people. And it's not enough to just elevate a therapist into a leadership role. So we work with state government and we get, $40,000 a year in grants that we utilize for training for our team. And we do leadership training, we do educational training, we do personality assessments, we do all of these things of how do we work together the best, how do we communicate best with patients at the level that they're at, and how do we develop leaders that are leading by motivation as opposed to retaliation or if this then this, or and you see that oftentimes so much in healthcare because I don't know about you, but I did not have one leadership course in physical therapy school. Now, I went to college for 13 years to do what we do, right? As we go for a long time. And so never once did I have a business class and never once did I have a leadership class. And those are professions in and themselves that I've had to go back and learn. And we infuse those into our team because this day and age, physical therapy margins are so tight that you have to be above that. You have to be above that level and you have to be cutting edge to make sure that your team truly understands not only leadership and innovation and motivation, and it's not top down. We know that the best teams hold each other accountable, not from the leader at the top. And so, how do we make sure that everybody leads with the organization? And that means education. And so, we strive really hard and we spend a tremendous amount of money every year on leadership, education, innovation, and pushing that why and that mission.
Wow. it's yeah, it just comes through so clearly. Your intensity, your focus, and the commitment that you have to your team, and it's frankly for probably most people watching this, it's a bit of a wake up because most of us, particularly, I mean, you didn't just start. This is 12 years that you've been leading this organization. It's
14,
hard
almost
to
14. Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
hard to maintain that intensity. So I think a lot of folks, including me, watching this video, saying, "Okay, I might need to step it up a little bit." So yeah, thank you for
Oh, you're doing just fine, Matt. You're doing just fine.
no. We have a lot of PTs. We analyze all of our clients' data every month, and we share with all our clients, as you know, how they're performing, how we're performing, how we're doing with the KPIs related to the client, and some things about how they're performing in their organization related to revenue and all the KPIs that we measure in practice analysis for our clients. And we get a lot of questions of what makes the difference, what is the difference maker between a clinic, because there are plenty of clinics out there not thriving, and I know you've been through your years of having to sort of not revision, but manage your staff a little bit differently to get the result you want, because we've all been through reduced reimbursements and increased costs, of course. So I get the questions of, okay, what is the difference? How come there are some clinics like yours killing it, and then other clinics down the street, across the country, we have clients from California to Florida to New York. What is the difference? And I always share that, strong, engaged leadership is the number one thing, because it's that passion every day to get up and just get after it every single day. Um, Invest heavily in the team, both time and money. Um, and I feel like those are the two big things that we see as the difference makers, and in companies like yours, the strong leadership, and you're investing in your team, time and money. Is there anything else that I'm missing, when I'm talking to other clients about how to be successful?
Well, I think that, one of the things, all of that you touched on is extremely, extremely important. And, you know, if you look at it from a business, there's a couple different ways that I look at it. And for me, our patients drive our decisions. And our goals are to be able to be one step ahead of meeting their needs, of the needs that they might not even know that they have. And so, for us, it's we're trying to be innovative with our patients. So we're doing surveys. What else would you like? What are some things that you notice that you maybe didn't like or you'd like to see us improve? What are some of the things that so all of this, we're doing surveying our patients on a regular basis so that we understand how to best meet the constituents that we're working with and the patients that we're working with. But beyond that, we measure that. So our net promoter score is at 99, which is a tremendous net
That's
promoter score. I mean,
that's
tremendous. When
ridiculous.
you look at healthcare and they're looking at 50 as being good in
Yeah.
healthcare, but we are extremely intentional about every interaction. And that drives, patient happiness and communication. And, so not only do we have a marketing team of 2, we have a marketing team of 2,000 because it's people that walk through the door, right? So but when you look at, what it looks like from a business component on the back end, and that's where healthcare gets a little challenging because there's those passionate people that want to give to patients and but they also devalue what they do, right? Because many physical therapists that I know are afraid to bill for their services.
Yeah.
They're afraid to actually code and bill appropriately for their services because they're so passion and help driven, which is fabulous. Like we want everybody to be there, everybody to be there. But at the same time, when you look from a business standpoint, there is fair exchange. And people in communities expect fair exchange. When you go to buy a car, you don't expect to steal it. I mean, and I think that in healthcare, we need to think a little bit more of that, and especially in physical therapy with our margins. So when you talk about what drives success, it's understanding both components, the components of statistics and making sound, objective decisions and following the trends of the needs and wants of the patients, because you have to be ahead of that. They have to be your promoters, but you have to be looking at metrics, and partnering people like PT Pilot and yourself, Matt, is have been tremendous for us. We're a very data driven company, and we make decisions based on data and also feel and those kind of things. But the more data that you have, the more understanding you have of your practice, the more tweaks that you can make that are really, really minute, that makes significant difference down the road when you start doing value. So I always lead with quality, 100%. You got to lead with your patients' want, you lead with quality, you lead with passion. But then on the back end of the business, you have to have the statistics to back it up. And you have to make sure that you're making sound decisions and that you're staying on top of it on a regular basis so that you're tight in your business practice and the way you run.
Wow. Yeah, that's so important, Jill. And once again, I think you're setting the bar high for a lot of these folks out there who realize, gosh, it does take a lot more than they perhaps thought when they opened their doors. So in addition to the excellent leadership, the investing time and money in people, it's also been 100% patient focused and making and having the data and analysis to make the right decisions. It sounds like your engineering genes from your family are coming through there in your data analysis. And speaking of that analysis, about I guess about 3 years ago, you decided to, hey, maybe it's time to make a change in our billing outsourcing. Can you share a little bit about what led to wanting to make a change in your billing and what was important to you in the company that you chose, which we're very grateful it ended up being us. But what were the key factors that you were looking for?
Yeah, when we talk about data and we talk about revenue streamlines and what that looks like and revenue cycles, and in healthcare, it's one of the few professions, and in the different CEO groups that I'm in, and I start talking about how we get paid, and people look at us like, and they look at me like I have three heads. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't get paid for sometimes like 30 days or 90 days or what? Like, what do you mean you can't raise your prices? And like, what do you mean your prices go down? And even if your quality goes up or your expenses goes up, you can't change the market, and I'm like, yeah, those are challenges. Like that's the challenges across the board, right? And so we have to be much more innovative. And as far as determining a billing company, and many people have told me, well, you're big enough, you should do billing in-house, and you should do, and the fact of the matter is that I run the numbers to determine, number one, what is best for our business from an economic standpoint, but also from a quality standpoint. And I review that on a regular basis. And so I'm looking at, when I'm looking at our different buckets from our current bucket to our 0 to 30, 30 to 90, and what that looks like. And, we worked with a couple different billing companies before we transitioned over to PT Pilot. And for me, always staying innovative in what is the next thing is really important, but not just the next thing, but to elevate with quality and elevate with an understanding of a team that is collaborative. One of our main core values is collaboration. And so we were looking for a team that was highly collaborative. And we certainly found that with you guys. And when we've been looking at the transition, transitioning billing companies is always a challenge, right? It takes some time and it takes a lot of transitioning of processes and, different platforms of how, money's in, money's out, that kind of thing. But, we saw 74% improvement in collections from when we transitioned to you. And what we were seeing was that we were starting to see our issues logs increase. We started to see sluggishness in our collections. We started to see aging accounts. We started to see our 121 plus increasing. And when you're looking at running a business, those are all things that as your money ages, your percentage chance of collecting that are less and less. And we worked too hard to be able to, not be collecting on the money that we're actually needing, right? Or needing to get in the door. And so, we're still having to pay our therapists, and that's really important. And so as I start to see our margins decrease, it's more imperative for me that we have a billing partner that is on it, right? That we are getting the return on our investment that is as we're having costs increase in regards to salary, we're having decrease in reimbursement. Management and running of businesses is much more important in physical therapy now than it was 20 years ago when I started. Much more important. And so the decision for us to switch was that by switching to you guys, it gave us a tremendous better margin in regards to collections. We've increased our collections, we've decreased our billing costs 26%, and we've streamlined our overall collection process and increased our collaboration. So for me, it's been a no-brainer.
Well, thank you, Jill. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's greatly appreciated. And I thank you for doing the analysis to be able to share that. I was not aware of some of that data, so thank you. Yes, we've been very, very pleased with the work. It's so much easier to do great billing work when you're connecting well with the client and the client's engaged and the client's leading initiatives and responding to questions. And so it's kind of a dream for us. It's the best scenario because it allows us to do our job well because of your excellence. So yeah, thank you so much. We've seen, the KPIs that we've seen in obviously in the work with you have been great. We're very pleased. And yeah, one of the things that we are excited about is innovation on our end and being able to therefore lower our billing costs for our clients. And so it's been great when we've been able to come to you in the past and have said, okay, look, we can do this for less now. And we, as we talked about before, we expect that to happen again this year, to come back with some reduced pricing due to technology that we're implementing. So yeah, I think
and that stands to the innovation of your company, and that most companies don't think like that, and that's true to collaboration and partnership of the better you do, the better we do. And so how do we all lower costs? And we were talking prior to this, and one of the things that you said is that in all of our businesses, in private practice and physical therapy and in healthcare, is all costs are going up. How do we be the one that's innovative enough that our costs can go down so that we can be a better partner for everybody else, right? And still be a win-win-win across the board.
That's right. Well, thank you, Jill, so much for your time. I don't want to keep you. I know your time is crazy valuable. I don't often get this long with you in a meeting. So thank you for sharing this time with me. And it's just such a pleasure working with you. And thank you for what you do for the industry. And frankly, what you've done for our organization. You've made us better. So we just really appreciate the partnership, Jill.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure working with you and your team, and you've elevated my team and you've elevated our processes and our overall performance with that peak performance physical therapy. So it's truly been a joy. So thank you so much.